All right, so this is the reading which will be read this Shabbat for your Maftir reading, because this Shabbat is called Parshat HaChodsh. Parshat HaChodsh, where God gives to Moses the first commandment that was given to the Jewish people. Okay, here we have the Jewish people are in Egypt, and Moses warns Paro, and he tells him, God says, let's just go a little bit further. It says, God said, listen, I'm going to kill all the firstborn. God said, I'm going to kill all the firstborn. Go and tell Paro that if he doesn't let you go, I'm going to kill all of them. And God said to Moshe, Lo Yishma Paro, he's not going to listen to you. Why is he not going to listen to you? Says Laman, in order, Ravos Mofsai, that they should increase the miracles that I do in Egypt. Because if Paro says, okay, you know what? I get the point. Just get out of here. Just leave. Take all the Jews. Get out of here. You're destroying my whole country. Leave. You know, you're going to miss me one day. But right now, get out. Then what would be? It would be that there wouldn't be the 10th plague. The 10th plague in Egypt. And God wanted to make all 10 plagues. And one of the reasons is to and he take away the inner energy from all of the 10 spheres of evil of Paro, to subdue. So he says, Paro is not going to listen to you. Let's just look over here. The Ramban said, because it should have been that Paro and his servants should be afraid of this firstborn. So he'll be more afraid when it actually happens to them. In other words, I want to make a lot of plagues on them, because if Paro should be afraid, he should be afraid of this 10th plague. But if he's not afraid, that when it happens to him, then he's really going to be afraid. They already saw that everything that Moses did was fulfilled. And therefore, God let Moshe know that don't be disappointed when Paro says that he's refusing to let you go, because I'm going to make this plague on all the firstborn men and all the firstborn animals. And Rashi said that this was Kriyas Yam Suf, was to shake up the Egyptians. Okay, let's just go further. Moshe and Aaron did all these miracles in front of Paro, and God strengthens his heart. He gave him, what do you say, self-confidence. God gave him one of these seminars on self-confidence, and Paro, he excelled in the seminar. God gave him a big shot of self-confidence, and God made Paro's heart hard, and he did not send the Jewish people from his land. So God says now to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, why does it have to say over here in the land of Egypt? Let me just say this. So first of all, it's coming to tell you when this happened. This happened before they got out of Egypt. This commandment was given before they actually left Egypt, before the last plague. So God spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Egypt, and he told them like this. And he says, why does it say Moses and Aaron? So Rashi says, because Aaron did and made such a big effort to make the miracles, just like Moshe did. So therefore, God gave him a little bit of respect and honor. And he said, this first commandment, which is going to be given to the Jewish people, Aaron, you're going to be a part of it. Sheklalu in Moshe, therefore, Moses and Aaron spoke together. How they did it, it says they spoke simultaneously and the voice came between them. So it says he spoke in the land of Egypt. In the land of Egypt, what's he coming to tell you in the land of Egypt? In the land of Egypt, but not in the city, the main city, Chutz Lakrach, outside of the main capital city. Or maybe we can say that no, it means he spoke to them in Egypt, anywhere in Egypt. Maybe it means in the big city. The Torah says, but all the time Moshe would leave the main city. If Moshe, even in order to pray a simple prayer, why did Moshe always have to go outside of the city in order to pray? Right? Paro said, stop the plagues. And Moshe said, okay, I'll pray to God and he'll stop. And Moshe went outside of the main city and he prayed. Why did he have to go outside of the main city? Why? There was a shul over there. There was no, right? He says the reason is very simple. That the city was filled with idolatry. Davar chamur kazeh, if a simple little prayer Moshe wouldn't make inside of the city. So how much more so a big, an important thing like this, this big commandment that God is going to give him now about the first month. Kol shechin. What is the commandment? This is it. This month for you will be the first of the months. It'll be the first of the months. Oh, but I wanted to look over here 1 second. Here, Bala Turim. Let's just go over here. We're going back now. That God spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt. Moshe and to Aaron in the land, Aaron into the land of Egypt. And right next to it, it says that this is the first month. That the first, it's coming to tell us that the head of the judicial court has to declare and say, he has to say, right, that at the Rosh Chodesh, he has to say, Mekudash. There's a law, it's a Mishnah over there in Rosh Hashanah that if the witnesses see the Rosh Chodesh and they come in and they tell the court about it, and the court doesn't say, sanctified, the month, we declare the month. If they don't declare it, then the month is not declared. Then it becomes the second day. Devar Maschil, Davar Acher, I'm sorry. Moshe and Aaron, what does it say? Be'eretz Mitzrayim, Vayadaber Moshe and Aaron, Be'eretz Mitzrayim, HaChodsh. It's to say that the Edut HaChodsh, the witness, the testimony about giving the month, right? 2 witnesses had to come in and testify that they saw the moon. So it comes to tell you that Aaron and Moshe, that they're brothers, Krovim Moshe and Aaron, that even if 2 brothers see the moon, as they can come in and testify. Usually testimony is not good with relatives. If 2 relatives, 2 close relatives, a father and a son, 2 brothers, if they see a crime done and they come into court, their testimony is not accepted. The testimony only of one of them is good, because brothers cannot be witnesses. But here they can be witnesses. Okay, what is this first commandment that God is giving to the Jewish people, that Moses gives to the Jewish people? And he says, Moses and Aaron, I'm sorry, this month is the first of the months. That's it. Right? This is the first of the months. That's not it. Rishon hu lachem michadshei shana. This is the first of the months of the year. Apparently, this is repetitive, right? This is superfluous. What does he have to say? This month is the first of the months. And then he said, the first it is to you of the months of the year. So it says, HaChodsh hazeh. He says, this month. It says that God showed Moses a moon. He showed Moshe what the moon looks like when it's brand new. How does it look? When he said, when the moon, you see the first sliver, then then it'll be the beginning of the month. But the simple meaning is, it's talking about a Chodesh Rishon. It's talking about the first month, which is the month of Nisan, the month when the Jews left Egypt. Passover. The Zayah Rosh, this will be the beginning of when you organize the months. She'ir, in other words, from now on in the Torah, the second month will be called Ir. It's the second month from the Torah. Okay, just one moment, please. Okay. This month is the first month of the year. So what does it have to say twice for? We're going to talk about this. First of all, Rashi says this is obviously talking about the month of Nisan. This is the beginning of the months. That from now on, when you see it written in the Torah, the second month, the seventh month, right, the Chodesh Hashvi, the Chodesh Shtei Masar, in the Megillah, Chodesh Shtei Masar. So you know that it's the counting from Nisan. So Iyar will be the second month. Sivan will be the third month. The third month. So it says the Chodesh Hashlishi, and the third month. So you know that's the month of. Okay, why does it say HaChodsh Hazeh? HaChodsh Hazeh, this month, right, will be for Rosh Chodeshim. What does it mean this month? It says Moshe had a big problem about the exactly when is it the moon considered to be brand new. What type of, how much does it have to be seen in order to be called this? So therefore, God showed him, Her'elo be'etzba, at the Lavana, God pointed with his finger in the heaven, and he said, Kazeh Rava Kadesh. God showed Moses, he pointed with his finger, he said, when you see it like this is a new moon. How did God show it to him? All right, when did God talk to him? God, it says, he spoke to Moshe in the daytime. God spoke to Moshe in the day. God spoke to B'yom tzavato, in the daytime he commanded him. Mina yom asher. It was right next to the sunset. He said this to him. And Parsha Moshe showed it. God showed it to him. Okay, there's a big, long Eben Ezra here. Very beautiful, which we, of course, we're not going to do. We don't, the time does not allow us to do this. But let's look over here. The Orach Chaim. There's a very nice Rambam over here. HaChodsh Hazeh Lachem. Why does it say, he asked the question, the obvious question, why does it say that this month will be the beginning of the months? The first will be to you, to the months of the year. Well, it said, it says it's the first month. That's it. What does it have to say? This is going to be the first month. The first, it will be for the months of the year. Why? So he has a beautiful answer. Listen to this. Tom, the reason that it doubles saying Rosh Chodeshim Rishon Hu. Why does it say this will be the first month? The first, it will be for you. The Kabbal Omar, it says, a Chodesh Zeh, this month, Rosh Chodeshim. Rosh, what does it mean, the Rosh? It's the best. The head of the year. It's the best of the months. Like it says, Basamim Rosh. Remember, we learned just a couple of days ago when we were looking at Parshat Titisa, when it was making the ingredients for the anointing oil and for the incense. It said, bring Basamim Rosh, bring the best of the spices, and Rosh means the best. So that means this is the best month. That's why it says, HaChodsh Hazeh Lochem. This is the best month for you. Because this month of Nisan, it's not better than any other months. Just for the Jews it is. Why is it better this month? Because that's the month the Jews got out of Egypt. The Timsa, so comes out that the rabbis say, Nisim Nig'alu, Nisim Atim Ligael. In the month of Nisim, we were redeemed. And in the month of Nisim, we are going to be redeemed by the Mashiach. Ki HaChodesh Mesuyam, because this month is singled out for the good of the Jewish people. The Alzeh Rishon Hu, therefore it is the best. Lios Lachem, for you. The Monim, therefore the Jewish month calendar will come from Nisan because it's so important and good. That's what it means. HaChodsh Hazeh Lachem, Rosh, it's the best. Like we talked about many times, in Judaism, the head of the days of the year is Rosh Hashanah. That's the beginning. That's in Tishrei. That was 6 months earlier. But the head of the days of the month And one of the reasons is because the word month means renewal. So God created the world in Tishrei, and that was a pretty big miracle, but it's a bigger miracle that he took the Jews out of Egypt and gave them the Torah. That's why the first of the 10 commandments is, I am God who took you out of Egypt. In other words, Egypt is the world. Egypt is the ultimate power in the world. It says the Egyptians were tremendously spiritual and occult and whatever it is. And so they were masters of sorcery and all sorts of spiritual powers that they had. So they had control over the world. The Egyptian says that the Paro ruled over the whole world. He said it was a Melech Makip, he ruled over the whole world. They said he had the power of the world, but when God took the Jews out of Egypt, this is the preparation to give the Torah. And that's a new thing. So this is a Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the new, that's the month of Nisan. So therefore, this is called the best renewal there can be. Best renewal, one renewal is that God made the world. That's a renewal. And the better renewal, the best renewal, Rosh Chodesh, the best Chodesh is the month of Nisan when the Jews got out of Egypt. And also, it's also when it says a Chodesh Hazem, and it doesn't say Chodesh Zeh. Why does it say HaChodsh Hazeh? What is it? Chodesh? God could have said Chodesh Hazeh Lechem, this month. What is it? HaChodsh. It's like saying this month, this special. This comes to teach you the Hey Hayudua Shu HaKodesh Baruch Hu, God. HaChodsh Hazeh. Hazeh, this word, what it could have said Chodesh Zeh, right? I'm sorry. Instead of saying HaChodsh Hazeh, it could have said Chodesh Zeh. This Hey is the questionable one. So it says, because this Hazeh is talking about God. Like we say, Zeh Keli Vanveu. Zeh means this one. The only real existence is God. So when we say Zeh, right, the only true time we can say it's something like we learned, remember what was it yesterday? That the only true reckoning, Pekudei Mishkan, that the only true reckoning is that of the Holy Temple, because everything else, it just is here today and gone tomorrow, which is not the case, the Holy Temple and God. That's why there'll be a third temple to show that the first two never really stopped. I think we learn about that's why it says Pikudei Mishkan. Pikudei means that God just took the temples as a surety, as collateral. He just took it into his possession. As soon as we do tshuva and pay God back, he'll bring it, show that he'll give it back to us. And that's what it means here. HaChodsh Hazeh, who is the Zeh here? The Zeh, the Zeh means this. The only time we can say this, really be referring to something that's true, that's God. Zeh Keli, Ki Hashem, because this will be to you, this Chodesh will be, Chodesh Hazeh will be to you a revelation of God to the Jewish people. That's the month of Nisan. What happened? God revealed himself to the Jewish people. It says that it says, when did he reveal himself to the Jewish people? Well, first of all, we have on the 7th day of Passover, that was when there was the splitting of the sea. The 7th day of Passover is like, what is it, the 21st day of Nisan. Still in the month of Nisan. Who's this? Hello, it's still in the month. So this month is Hazeh. This is the month for Hazeh, for Hashem was called Zeh Keli Vanveu. This is the month that God reveals himself. It says that in the splitting of the sea, it says even the simplest Jew saw God on the sea. It says that the simplest Jew, even the most simple maidservant, saw revelations that even the greatest prophets didn't receive. This is that the sea split, not all the water in the world split, including the Shamayim, the heavens all split, and everyone saw God. That's this month. This month of Nisan is the month of revelation. And that's also for the future redemption by Mashiach. There's going to be big revelations like the going out of Egypt. And you can say, well, I don't believe there's going to be such a thing. I mean, it's pretty hard to believe that there was such a thing when the Jews left Egypt, but that's what Judaism is based on. 10 plagues and splitting the sea and all this. Who made the stories up, right? But that's what Jews have been believing for the last 3,300 years. And you have to say that the Jews are the most gullible nation ever created in the history of the world. There's never been just en masse. They all believe the same story. Come on. And only the smart ones don't believe in it. Well, I mean, this is sort of not true. I mean, here you can see is one of the biggest proofs of all is the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, Rashi. These people were geniuses. And all the Jews, just in general, right, are usually not an intelligent people. Some of them are a little bit too intelligent for their own good, but too intelligent. Or Remez B'Teva Zeh, Ki Hashem Yiyeh Rosh L'Kol HaChadashim. This will be the beginning of the Rosh HaChodesh Hazeh, will be the head of all the months. How many months are there? 12. That's the number Zeh. Zeh is 7 and 5 is 12 months. HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem. From here, all it says HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem. This month will be to you. What does the Seforno say? From here and onward, the months will be yours. You are the ones that decide when the month begins. You look at the moon and you go to court and you decide when the month begins. But in the days of Shibud, when you were in Egypt, the days weren't yours. You belonged to others, and all of your work belonged to others, and everything you did was according to the will of other people. Therefore, Rishon Hu Lachem. This month is the month you're getting out of Egypt. From now on, time belongs to you, Jews. Make the best use of it. When you were in Egypt, you couldn't do anything. You had to work all the time. You had no time to think. Well, now you do have time to think. Make the most of your time. We don't have that much time, but let's just look a little bit of this. Okay. All right, good. Well, this is basically what he repeats what we said. Okay, that was the first thing. Sanctify the moon. What does it mean, sanctifying the moon? That when the end of a month can either be 29 days or 30 days. A month can't be more or less than that. Either a month is 29 days or 30 days left. If the month is 29 days, it means that they saw it, the moon a little bit early. If they didn't see it early, then automatically the month is 30 days long, automatically. So the question is, did they see it early or not? That's the big question. So everybody in Israel, when it came the time that maybe you could see the moon, right, or not, and it was at the end of the 29th day, so they would look to see, is the 30th the beginning of the next month? That's they see the moon, or maybe not. So everybody looked. Anybody who saw the moon, because nobody knew what anybody is. They didn't have cellular phones. Hey, you know what I saw? Everyone would, when they saw, so that immediately they would jump on their horses, even on Shabbos, and they would ride to the Holy Temple. And they would say, I saw the moon. And the men in the Holy Temple would say, that's it. Today is Rosh Chodesh. And then the whole calendar would be according to this. Now, this is pretty important. This is pretty important because if they saw the month on the wrong day, let's say they didn't testify, nobody testified or whatever happened, and there were the Tzedukim, the Sadducees, they tried to confuse this whole thing, and they sent in false witnesses, and they made etc. So if the calendar gets upset, so then it ends up that everybody is, let's say, sounding the shofar on the wrong day, or eating matzah on the wrong day, or doing lulav and esrog on the wrong day. So it's very important. Time is very important. Time is it's a unique aspect of the creation of the world, and we have to sanctify it also. That's why it's not a good thing to waste time. So here we go. What's the first? The first commandment is sanctifying the month. Okay, but this was already done basically. I mean, the Jewish people are only going to be able to do this next month because this is already done in the first month. So this is the first commandment they actually did. Speak to the Jewish people and tell them that on the 10th day of the month, that everyone should take a sheep to their house. We're going to see it can be a sheep or a goat. A sheep to the house of their fathers, a sheep to every house. And there's every single house, there should be the mishpacha achat. Should try to do it family by family. If there are one people, if there were a lot, so you could have syllabized. I'm sorry. Let's do Rashi. Speak to all the Jewish people. Who was speaking? Aaron was speaking. Halo kavar ne'amar. It says, Atat davar, you speak. But what? They would give honor one to the other. One would say, each one would say, you teach me, you tell me. And the word would come between the two of them, as though the both of them were speaking. So they would both teach the Jewish people together. Speak to all the Jewish people on the 10th day of the month. This that God was speaking to Moshe now, this was in the first day of the month. So God was showing him, in other words, what the moon is. You should take it on the 10th day of the month. So he says, today is the first day of the month. God sanctified this month. And he said to Moshe, or the Moshe actually, he was the one that had to say sanctified, but it wasn't with the court. So God said, okay, it's going to come in another 10 days. I want everyone to take a goat or a sheep. It says, Dabru ben Israel, it says this 10th day of the month. Pesach Mitzrayim Mechu be'eser. When the Jews left Egypt, they did something that they didn't do in all of the succeeding generations. They took a sheep or a goat, whatever, to their house on the 10th day of the month. All the other Passovers that they made, they didn't make any of the Passovers when they were in the desert. The first one they made was when they get to Egypt. Or I think they made one more. It says, Velo Pesach Dorot. In the Passover that they made afterwards, for all the generations, and it was after they came to the land of Israel, then they would take the sheep immediately before you could buy it right before the holiday on the 14th. Celebrate Avot. Each person got one sheep. If you might think too bad, if there's a lot of people, let's say you have 100 people in one family, right? It's very possible, right? A father had 10 children. Each one of those 10 children has 10 children. They already have 100. So it says there could be 100 people in the family. It's Talmud Lore. The Torah says, celibate. You have to take a sheep for the household. In other words, as much as is necessary for the household. Right. Enough to satisfy everybody in the household. They have to take a sheep. 1 second. Here's the Ramban. Ish celebrate avot. The reason for this commandment, why all of a sudden there's this strange commandment that every Jew has to take a sheep into his house and sacrifice a sheep or a goat. Why? Because the Mazel Tleh, the zodiac, I think it's Aries, right? Tleh is in the month of Nisan. Its power is very powerful. And this is the Mazel Hatzomeach. This is the thing that makes, I guess, everything grow. That's the month. Nisan is the month of spring. Everything starts growing. Therefore, God said, take this and slaughter it and eat it, to let everybody know, the Egyptians know, that they did not leave Egypt because of this month. This month happens to be the Jewish month, and the month, the god of this month, the zodiac or whatever, this month, that's what helped them. But therefore the Jews ate the sheep to tell them, to make it known that this is not the God that took us out of Egypt. If it was, how could you eat it? Right? You should serve it. You should. Al dat, Rabbeinu, according to the rabbis, that in Egypt they used to. There's another opinion. In Egypt they used to worship animals. In Egypt, big thing, animal worship. And one of the big chief animals over there was the sheep or the goat. It's also the first of the zodiac, so it makes sense that they would worship. How much more so to let that by means of this commandment that we are casting down their gods and their power. when they in the highest of them. In other words, the Egyptians were ruling over the whole world, and here their servants took over the country. So it says, this is it. We're showing that not only are we more powerful than you, but we're more powerful than your gods as well. That's what it says. Take yourself a sheep and slaughter the gods of Egypt. Oh, that's good. The gods of Egypt. Here, let's do one more over here. The Das Zakanim. You should take it on the 10th day of the month. It says the 10th day of the month, they took the sheep. When the firstborn of the Egyptians saw this, so they said to the Jews, what are you doing? Why are you taking our God? And the Jews said to them, oh, it's no big deal. It's going to be Pesach. God is going to jump over the houses of the Jews. He's going to skip over our houses, and he's going to kill all the firstborn of Egypt. Have a good day. The firstborn said, what? They went to Paro and they said, listen, these people they're not benefiting us at all. Let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of these Jews. Let's get rid, because Atem Gormiim Lanu, they're going to kill it. We're all the firstborn. We're going to get killed. And Paro said, we'll talk about it tomorrow. No big deal. And what happened was there was a big war. The firstborn said to Paro, what do you mean come back tomorrow? They're going to kill us tomorrow. What type of a leader are you? And he said, don't talk to me like that. Who do you think you are? You're a person. What do you mean? We're the firstborn. We're going to get killed. Paro said, come on. Can't you just calm down a little bit? I mean, I don't understand. What are you yelling? What are you coming into my palace and yelling at me? Get out of here. So they took out their knives and swords and they made a big war. And the firstborn smote the other Egyptians. That's what it says, that the Egyptians were smitten by means of their firstborn. The firstborn doesn't say the first that God smote. This is, of course, meaning that God smote the firstborn of the Egyptians. But here it says that God smote the firstborn of the Egyptians. That's one thing. But also the firstborn of the Egyptians, they also smote the Egyptians. God smote the Egyptians through their firstborn. Also, it says another thing, that when they took the Pesach offering, the 10th of the month, it was Shabbat. Because we say that Pesach, when the Jews left Egypt, it was on Thursday. And therefore, there was 5 days, right? They took it on the 10th day, and they left on the 15th. So it says, Pirish Rabbi Akiva, if so, the 10th, when they took the sheep or the goat, it was on Shabbat. And when the Egyptians saw that they're taking their Pesach offering and shechting it, they all gathered together to kill the Jews. And because the Jews were killing the Lord of the Egyptians, right? Because the Egyptians used to worship all these animals. But God made a big miracle and he saved the Jews. Therefore, it's called Shabbos HaGadol, because of this big miracle. So there's two miracles that really happen. In Chabad, really, we only talk about the first miracle. But the Rebbe also spoke about this at great length. The bravery of the Jews, how going out of Egypt depends on bravery. The Jewish people, true, they had decimated the Egyptians, but the Egyptians still outnumbered them, who knows, 100 to 1. I mean, there were a lot of Jews, true, there were a lot of Jews, but I imagine there was more Egyptians. Maybe not. Maybe the Jews outmanned them, but in any case, the Egyptians were the powerful ones. And they had the weapons and they had everything. Now the Jews are taking this, the sheep into their house, and it's braying and it's making all this noise. And the next door neighbor is saying, what are you doing? Haven't you caused us enough trouble? What are you taking the sheep into your house for? And the Jews said, oh no, we're just going to kill it. We're going to kill it. And the Egyptians said, what? How are you going to? Now the Jews certainly knew that this would anger their Egyptians. The Egyptians were aggravated enough as it was from all the plagues that had come down. And we see that Paro did not surrender at all. It didn't convince Paro at all. So probably the people also were something like Paro. I mean, they thought, listen, if our leader, our fearless leader is still holding strong, so, he's what an inspiration he is to us. So the Egyptians also had hatred to the Jews. Now the Jews were taking their God into the house. What's going on? To the house. So the Jews didn't pay any attention to this. So it ended up, according to this, that the Egyptians did make war against the Jews, and God made a big miracle, and he saved the Jews. Nothing happened to any of the Jews. That's one miracle. The second miracle is that the firstborn, they turned on their own. They said, listen, we can't defeat the Jews. Let's get power to get rid of these people. And he refused, so they made a big fight. But we have to give a reason why was it taken the 10th day. So Rashi says because the reason was so that they could circumcise themselves. And they could circumcise themselves, and they would have this blood of the circumcision, and also the blood of the Passover would be 4 days. And they say, why 4 days? So Rav Yitzchak me Ivra said in order that they can circumcise themselves and wait 3 days after the circumcision before going out of so in other words, because it's a big question, the Jewish people, in order to eat the Korban Pesach, had to be circumcised. A non-circumcised person cannot eat from the Pesach offering. So obviously they had to circumcise themselves before they ate from the Pesach offering, and immediately after that they left Egypt. So we can say, well, it's a big miracle, they just circumcised themselves, and God made this amazing healing. Or we can say that no, they took the sheep into their house, they circumcised themselves, and then after the third day, and it was on the fourth day, it says the third day is supposed to be the most painful after a circumcision. So the fourth day, when already the pain was subsided, that's when they circumcised them. That's when they slaughtered the Pesach offering, and that's when they left. That's why they took it on the 10th. Why 4 days before? Let's see here. It says, take from the blood, put it on the mezuzahs of your door. They would put it on the inside of the door. They put it on the inside of the door. And it says you should eat this meat on the night, roasted. Don't eat it like semi-cooked or boiled, but it has to be roasted over the fire. And there's a lot of laws about this. You have to be careful that it doesn't touch, if the inside that goes through it, if it's metal, so that maybe that'll cook it, boil it. Don't leave anything over in the morning. If you do, then you have to burn it. And this is how you should eat it. It says you should eat it with your loins girded and your shoes on your feet, and you have to have a staff in your hand, and eat it quickly because it's a Pesach for God. And I will go over Egypt, and I will smite all the firstborn of Egypt, the firstborn men, the firstborn animals, and all of the gods of Egypt I will also judge because I am God. And the blood will be a sign for you. This is here we knew that the blood was not put on the outside of the door, as is pictured in all these Agadas or whatever. It really was put on the inside of the door. It's a sign for you. And God said, I'll see this blood and I'll jump over your houses, and there won't be any, remember we learned this, that there won't be I'll jump over you, and there won't be in you any plague. It says, what does it mean there won't be in you? Even if there was a Jew in the house of an Egyptian, then the Jew wouldn't get smitten. And if there was an Egyptian, it will be on you. If there was an Egyptian that tried to take refuge in the house of a Jew, a firstborn, in the house of a Jew, it didn't make any difference. The Egyptian would be smitten. And the Rebbe points out, Rashi says here, see, it says, if there was an Egyptian in the house of a Jew, then you might think he would get out. It says, no, it'll be in you, but the Egyptian not. What if there was a Jew in the house of an Egyptian? So you might think that he will get smitten. The Torah says, no, that you will not have a negev. Lo yebechem negev. It won't be in you. And the Rebbe asks an obvious question, what in the world is a Jew doing in the house of an Egyptian on the night that they're supposed to be leaving Egypt? Right? So it says, this is talking about a Jew that's a renegade Jew. He's a, what do you call it? what do they call him? A turncoat, a traitor to the Jewish people. And he's sitting with the Egyptians. He doesn't want to part with the Jews. He was sitting with the Egyptians on the night they're supposed to leave Egypt. And nevertheless, God will let him alive. He won't give him a plague. Even if he's a firstborn Jew sitting in the house of Egyptian, nevertheless, there won't be a plague on him. The lowest of the low, but as long as he wanted to go out. The Jews that didn't want to go out, they didn't. This will be a remembrance, and you will make a holiday for God, Chukas Olam. This is the holiday of Pesach that we are preparing for. Okay, my friends, see you tomorrow morning, 8:15. There will be a class from 8:15 until 9 o'clock. We'll learn a Sikh of the Rebbe. You are all invited. Have a good day with Mashiach now.